Hi everyone, welcome to Iwari's Voice. If this is your first time on this channel, please like this video, subscribe, share, and comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video, and yeah, let's get into it. Today, I'm going to be doing a two-part series on the QLTS. And the QLTS is the Qualified Lawyers Transfer Scheme. I've taken the part one, which is the MCT. That's the multiple choice test. The QLTS is for lawyers that are qualified in another jurisdiction and they wish to be qualified in the UK. This year, the process of qualification is going to change from September 2021. We're going to be moving from the QLTS system to the SQE system. So the last sitting of the first part of the QLTS, that's the MCT, is in July 2021. Therefore, that's why we have this video to put you through, tell you how to go about it, and yeah, let go. These videos are going to be divided into two parts. The first part, we're going to be talking about the QLTS, what the QLTS entails, and the second, and we're going to also be talking about the providers that are available on the market. So I sat the QLTS twice. Well, the MCT, I sat the MCT twice. Crickets. I'll be explaining that as well. So I use both providers. I'll be explaining the pros and cons of both providers. In part two of the video, I'm going to be talking about studying for the MCT. I'm going to be talking about the exam itself, so the MCT itself, tips and things that just helped me, and results, receiving your results. So that's what these videos are going to be about. So firstly, what's the QLTS? Like I explained earlier, it's a Qualified Lawyer Transfer Scheme, and it's for lawyers that are qualified in other jurisdictions that wish to be qualified in the United Kingdom. From September 2021, the system is going to be changed from the QLTS system to the SQE system. Now, for the QLTS is divided into two parts. We have the MCT, which is the multiple choice question, and the OSCE, which is more of practical based. So you're going to be looking into civil litigation, criminal litigation, interviewing skills, property law, property law practice. So it's more the practice of the law, whereas the first part is more the theory of the law and, applying that theory to certain scenarios and picking out the best possible scenario. So focusing on the MCT tests part A of the SRA Day 1 outcomes. And the SRA Day 1 outcomes include like understanding criminal law, taxation, EU law, understanding EU law, taxation, property law, understanding, I've done taxation, tort, understanding contract. Just those basic topics and modules that we did in undergrad. They're going to be testing that and testing the application of those modules. Now, the tricky thing about the MCT is that, when you're studying, you realize that I actually know these concepts because not only did I do it in undergrad, I work in it on a day-to-day basis, depending on what area of law you're in. But it's not as easy. They don't make it as easy. And we're going to be talking about the questions, and how best to answer the questions in the next episode. The MCT is 5 hours, 30 minutes. But don't worry, you won't be sitting for 5 hours, 30 minutes as a stretch. So it's divided into 2 hours, 45 minutes, and then you get a 1 hour break, and then you have another 2 hour, 45 minutes. For you to sit the MCT, you need to have registered with Kaplan. Registration with Kaplan is free, and I would recommend if you're even considering sitting the MCT, because the last sitting is July, 7th of July. And I'm telling you, even if you're just starting your preparation now, you have more than enough time to write the exam, okay? On both occasions that I wrote my exam, I studied in like 2 months to 2.5 months. The first time that I even took longer. So the first time I think I started studying end of October. I started preparing and I failed. The second time I started studying like around November-ish and I passed. So I started taking my studying seriously around November-ish, and the exam was in January and I passed. So with a good concentrated studying time, you can pass this exam. So if you're considering taking this exam on the 7th of July, I would advise that you go and register on the Kaplan website right now, because the closing dates to register for the July MCT is the 20th of April, and today is the 10th of April. So we only have like 10 days left to register. Please, please, please go register. It's free. Even if you decide that, you know what, I'm not writing the MCT, at least you have the option. So after registering on the Kaplan website, it's just to check that you're eligible to write the exam, you're qualified in another jurisdiction. The next stage is to pay for the exam, and that's done through Person View. So although Kaplan organizes the exam, is Person View, you sit the exam in Person View centers. It's a computer-based exam, okay? So you won't be writing for 5.5 hours. It's a computer-based exam. Like the name implies, there's multiple choices, but the choices are very similar. So you can have the answers being like, oh, the client may do this, or the client must do this, or the client can do this. So you have like 5 options like that are very similar in nature. So it's like, is it a may? Is it a must? Is it a can? Is it a not? So you need to know the concepts and you need to know how to apply it to that particular scenario. So you don't go and choose may when it's a must, that sort of thing. It's 180 questions, and these questions are divided within the 2 hour 45 minutes, 2 hour 45 minutes slots. So in all, you kind of be in the exam center for like 6.5 hours, okay? But you can do this, okay? If I can do this, you can do this. So have faith in yourself, right? You can do this. So register on the Kaplan website. Please try and do that immediately. And register on the Person View website. The deadline for booking the exam is the 26th of May. And that's the one that you actually have to pay for. You don't have to pay for the Kaplan registration. But the Person View exam booking, you have to pay for it. Currently, it's £588 plus VAT. Okay, so depending on how much the VAT is, wherever it is you're booking from, or wherever you decide to write the exam, I don't know. But the base is £588 and it fluctuates depending on the VAT. So the amount I paid for it the first time I sat it is not the same as the amount I paid for it the second time. It was more expensive the second time around. Even though I booked from the same place and everything. I'm like, why? But yeah, that's what I get for not taking it seriously the first time. Okay. Also, you can write the exam in different locations. You don't have to write the MCT in the UK alone. So I just, for the fun of it, I checked the website, and there are booking centers in South Africa. There are booking centers in Asia. I think, I'm not sure if it's Hong Kong or China, but in Asia anyways. There are booking centers in all over, right? So you don't have to write the MCT in the UK alone. So don't be worried that, oh, I'll have to travel all the way to the UK to write the MCT. You don't. Okay, that's only for the OSCE, which is the second part. But let's get through this first stage first, okay? Just find the closest Person View center to you that takes the MCT. That's another thing. So you might have a Person View center wherever you live, but if they don't provide for the MCT, you can't take it there. So where I live currently, we don't have a Person View center. So I live in Guernsey in the Channel Islands. So it's possible to have like, we have a BPP center that provide computer-based examinations, but there's no Person View center. I've also checked online. There's some Person View centers that don't provide the Kaplan QLTS exam. So you have to make sure it's a Person View center and it provides the Kaplan QLTS exam. Don't worry, if they don't provide it, it won't show up on the website when you click that you want to book for that particular exam. When you choose the QLTS, it's not going to bring out centers that don't sit it, okay? It's going to bring out centers that actually do sit the QLTS exam. Don't worry about that. But there are centers all over the world. There are centers in America. There are centers in Canada. My next point is on providers and my personal experience using the 2 providers. So I used 2 providers. There are different providers in the market. There is QLTS School and there is Barbri. There are other providers where I used QLTS School the first time and I used Barbri the second time. I know people that didn't use any of the providers and studied for the test on their own, and they passed. Okay, so it depends on you. You know what works best for you. You know your study schedule, how best you assimilate information. So because something worked for me doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. Okay, disclaimer. So the first time around, I used QLTS School and I did a group study. So I studied with another person that I knew was writing the exam at the moment. There are 11 SRA outcomes and we shared those outcomes. So like I did, let's say 5 topics and the other person did like 6 topics. We went through the videos, we summarized the videos into notes. So all the QLTS videos, I have summarized notes for them. And then the next stage was to assimilate the videos and do past questions and things like that. With Barbri, I didn't go the group study route. Firstly, because the person I was studying with passed. Secondly, because Yeah, there was no need to. Okay, I could do it on my own. There was no need to do group study. I know that group study does not work for me because it makes me lazy if I feel that, oh, they'll do it, they'll do it. But if I know I have to do it, I'll do it. With the QLTS school, like, their resources are so good. They give you like 11 books. 11 books. So you have 11 SRA outcomes and you get like 11 books to study for each outcome. When I first saw those books, I was just like, come on now. There are multiple choice questions. Why do I need all these books, right? Apart from the books, you also have videos online. So the videos, they're not like human beings. It's like a PowerPoint video and then like someone talking or a computer talking, that sort of thing. So it depends if that's your cup of tea. Also, they have flashcards on their online resources. You can download the QLTS. You can have QLTS on your phone and look at the flashcards. And they have mock exams. So depending on what stage or what step you get, you could either get 5 question papers or 15 question papers or those more. So the one I did was the one that gave you 15 mock exam papers, okay? And the pros and cons of QLTS school, right? The pros, oh my gosh, their mock papers are so good. So good, okay? Because I feel like the mock papers are a bit harder for the QLTS school. The mock papers are a bit harder than the actual exam. So if you can continually ace the mock papers for QLTS school, you're good to go. Like, you're set for the exam. I remember on the exam day, the first time I wrote it when I prepared with the QLTS school, I was like, oh my gosh, this exam is so easy. What's an easy peasy something? Why are people stressing? And then when I came back after lunchtime, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not so easy. The mock papers are so good. I'm not going to lie, the QLTS materials as well are so good. But I didn't touch a single book. It was just too much. It's like, when you have like loads of food in your front. I don't know about you, but me, it puts me off. I'm like, sorry, I'm not hungry anymore. Even though like this is for my own exam and it's for my own good. So I didn't use any of the books. I tried because I really enjoy contract law. So I tried to read through like the contract law book. But it was just so voluminous. Like, the QLTS school, a con about it is that the amount of volume that's in it, you don't actually need all that for the exam. QLTS school goes into detail on cases and legislation, whereas you don't need to know cases like that. You only need to know some of the important cases. So for me, I prefer someone tell me, okay, this is the important case you need to know. Don't be telling me all the baby cases, like all the bum cases. Like, don't be telling me all the unnecessary cases I don't need to know. If I don't need to know it, don't tell me, man. Don't tell me, okay? Thank you. So that was my downside with the QLTS school. Also, because their videos are like a PowerPoint with someone speaking over it. Maybe the intro video, you have a human being that comes and tells you about the course, the SRA outcome you're about to go into and what it's about. But the other videos, as at the time as I was doing it, after that intro video, was a computer PowerPoint and someone talking over it. So it's very, like, not personal. Like, having a computer talk to you. So it's really easy to get distracted, at least for me, right? I prefer to see a human being, see how they're teaching it, and, I prefer that. So that was another downside for me. But the positive side was the amount of questions that QLTS school had. They had topic questions. Per SRA day 1 outcome, they had questions. They had mock questions, and the mock exams were so good. With the mock exams, you could choose whether it should tell you straight away if you got the answer right or wrong, or you want to know at the end. If you choose to know straight away, when you pick an answer, it'll tell you whether it's correct or wrong, and it's to explain the question and the answer. So it won't just say wrong, it would tell you why it's wrong, and it will explain why it's wrong and why you should have picked another option. So that was a really good point on QLTS school. Coming to Barbri, so the next time I was doing it, I decided to give Barbri a try because I was actually going to use QLTS school again, to be very honest, because they were good to me. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with them. But then someone was like, oh, why not just give Barbri a try? I heard Barbri is really good. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So I was like, why not? Let me give Barbri a try. What I really liked about Barbri was they only had 2 books. 2 books. I've loaned someone my books, so I don't have it to show you, but I wish I had a picture of the books. Like, and the books were like maybe this thickness, so 1, 2. They had 2 books for the whole 11 SRA Day 1 outcomes. And I'm just like, where have you been all my life? 2 books. And then another thing I liked about Barbri was that they give you a mentor. So someone like a lecturer that checks in on you. Although for me, that would actually scrap that. That wasn't a pro. That was a con for me, right? But they give you a mentor. So if you're really into that, you know, that'd be good for you. I'll explain why it was a con for me after this next point. Another point I liked about the Barbri was they monitor your progress. So if you've done 20% of the work, they'll tell you you've done 20% of the work. If you've done 8%, they'll tell you you've done 8%. So they monitor your progress. They tell you where you're meant to be. And they tell you where your peers are. So the people that are doing the course with you, they tell you the percentage they're on based on the average, because it's computer based, obviously, based on the average of everybody's completion. And they tell you where they expect you to be at that point in time. So I signed up for Barbri in July, and I didn't receive my materials till like August, thereabouts. And I was meant to prepare for it over 3 months. Was it 3 months or 6 months? I think it was 6 months actually. So I bought the 6 months package because I was like, I want to prepare. Second time around. So I started studying in August, a little bit of September, and I just dropped it. Mind you, it's telling you your percentage. Okay, so let's say I dropped it at like 18% and I didn't pick it up again. 18 or 20%. I was just really busy. I was traveling a lot. I was wedding planning, and that's another thing. The second time around, I was wedding planning and I still passed. So with the whole stress of wedding planning, like my exam was a month before my wedding, and you know, I was still able to scale through. I received my results the week of my wedding, but that's for the next video, so don't let's go into it. So I was, you know, really stressed, so I just dropped it for a while, and then I picked it up again in November and then continued. But I really liked the fact that I told you where you were, told you where it expected you to be, and then it told you where your peers were, which is good for someone like me because I really like a healthy competition, so nothing over the top. But when I know where people are, I'm like, okay, Chelsea, you kind of need to sit up because you only have like 6 weeks to get to 100% and you're at 20%. So yeah, that was good. Now going back to the mentor point, the reason why I didn't really like that the mentor factor was because I wasn't following the timetable, right? I just wasn't. Like when I dropped it off after like September-ish, I dropped it off for like a month to 6 weeks and I didn't do anything. So my mentor would email me and tell me, oh, hi, TLC, you're meant to be at 25% and you're at 18%. I think you should really work on getting your percentage up. And in my mind, I'm like, is that all you're going to do? Like, tell me I need to work on getting to speed. Like, I'm using my phone to record. If not, I will have read one of the emails. But it was something along those lines. I'm like, I don't need this pressure, sir. So the first time the mentor emailed me, I was like, oh yeah, thank you. If you have any tips on studying, please let me know. I really look forward to studying, to working with you. But when the email started coming in, like, oh, Tessie, you're not up to the percentage. You should really be on 50% right now, and you're on 20%. I'm just like, I don't need the stress. I don't need it in my life. Bad energy, stay far away. I don't need it. So I just stopped responding to the mentor, to be honest. So that part wasn't really useful. And when I did ask for like study tips and advice, it was just like, oh yeah, you just need to like get your head into it and like do it. And I'm like, that doesn't give me any tip or advice. So I feel like what is provided on the online portal is more than enough. I love the fact that the books were really short, so I'll watch the videos. That was another pro. The videos in the Barbri course were actually human beings talking to you. So they introduce themselves, say who they are, say where they are in practice. So maybe they're lecturing, maybe they're in private practice, and then they go into the topic. So I really liked that. And one of the topics I struggled to grasp was land law. Mind you, I hated land law in undergrad, and then I now had to do it again. It was called property law this time around, right? I'm like, oh, why? But then the Barbri resource like really helped. Like, imagine watching property law, like an area of law you don't like. And I was laughing because the lecturer was funny. So I usually watch my videos in times 2 because I don't like when people talk too slowly. But I was watching the video, so I was able to assimilate, and I was laughing. Like, I'll pause to laugh, and I'm like, okay, for you to make me laugh when explaining a land law concept, you're good. My sister, you're good. And I think there's a Barbri video on property law on YouTube. I don't know if it's one of the funny ones that she did, like one of the ones where she actually makes people laugh. She didn't only take property law, she took either accounts or conduct. I think she took conduct as well. So she was really funny. So I was like, if you can make me laugh, okay, conduct is a bit, easy to a certain extent. But if you can make me laugh over property law, you have my 5 stars, okay? You have my 5 stars. The materials were good. The videos were good. I thought the Barbri was really nice. A con was the questions. So remember I mentioned that the QLTS questions were so hard that if you can do the QLTS questions, especially the mock papers, like, you're good to go for the exam. Whereas the Barbri questions, for me, I felt like, oh my gosh, these questions are so easy. Am I sure that it's going to prepare me for the exam? Because it's one thing to know the concepts, it's one thing to know how to answer the questions, that's a whole different ballgame. So I'm like, these questions are so easy. Am I sure it's going to prepare me for the exam? I had someone who was using QLTS school at that time, and I was like, please, can I use your QLTS school mock exams? I didn't even finish one mock exam on hers because I was so focused on finishing my Barbri materials. And my Barbri materials were actually sufficient, okay? So I don't know, I guess Barbri just prepares you for exactly what you need. And if you do everything, like, I think at the end of the day, my percentage at Barbri on finishing was like 99. So I was 99% done with the materials. And the last few materials, it was just because I was like, I'm not doing it. I've read it already. I'm not watching the video or something along those lines. But I was 99% done. There were some questions that are some SRA day 1 outcomes that are more difficult than the other. Like, I found taxation to be very difficult. And mind you, I did revenue law in undergrad, but doing taxation and actually having to calculate and things like that, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I left this thing in undergrad, which is like 2013, like 7 years ago. But I didn't. For me, because of the type of person I am, I did prefer using Barbri because it gave me exactly what I wanted. I was studying and I was working full-time. So it's not like I had the luxury of studying all day. So I was working full-time. My job is kind of demanding. So I wanted something that would give me the opportunity to study and also give work 100%. I didn't want to be useless or be a vegetable at work. And I only did those mornings studying. Whereas the first time around, I was also working full-time. But I was staying back after work. Like, I'll do like 2-3 hours after work just to do my notes. But the time it took me to do my notes, I didn't now have enough time to cover the whole syllabus. So I covered my part. Remember I said I was doing group studying. I covered my part, but the other person's part, I didn't cover it because they took the notes. And there's something about watching those videos. It just sticks in your head. Like for Barbri, watching the video made it stick in my head. Whereas because I didn't do the notes for QLTS school, I now have to start reading through another person's notes. So at the end of the day, what I want your take home to be is just know what works for you. Because something works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. I also heard people that didn't use QLTS, didn't use Barbri, studied on their own, maybe got textbooks from people that had done it in the past, studied on their own, and they were good to go, okay? So please, please, please know what works for you. And yeah, thank you for watching. The next episode, I'm going to be talking about studying, and I'm going to be talking about the exam itself and the results. So I've already touched a bit on studying on this video. So let's hope we still have some more content for the next video, okay? Thank you. Mwah. Bye. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, okay? Thank you. So yeah, she took conduct. Guys, you won't believe what happened. My phone just stopped recording. Like, the devil is a liar. Liar. And I had finished the video and everything. Thank God I didn't go into part 2. I just said, let me check before going into part 2. If not, my heart. But yeah. Here we go.